Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the last day of June. It is so hard to even believe we're here. It's Monday, June 29th. We have only one more day, and then we're into July, which is partly what our conversation is going to be about today. My name is Kelly Baltzell. I'm CEO of Beyond Indigo Pets. And we have Mr. Tyler Murray, who always has wonderful wisdom about marketing tips. He is on one of our marketing teams, social media here at Beyond Indigo. Welcome, Tyler.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going. It's going to be a heat index of 100 today, so we're hot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Minnesota, that's hot. We melt. So we're inside in air conditioning, hence the sweatshirt, all comfy. But, Wednesday is July 1st, and then in the United States, here, we have July 4th coming up on Saturday, which, people tend to market around that time. Sometimes it's spur of the moment, like, oh, crap, it's July 4th. I should put up something. Or sometimes people put more thought into it. But nowadays, with the framework of the world going on behind us, that's our sandbox that we play in as marketers. We have some maybe things for people to consider today. So what do you have for us?
Sure. I think the first thing, you mentioned it a little bit, is people tend to throw things up willy-nilly, as they say.
Yes.
They don't have a big plan. They don't think far enough ahead when they're planning for holidays. And one of the easiest ways is Google My Business. If you have a Google My Business account, which if you are a business, you should have a Google My Business account and to log in. There's something called special hours, and it's something that you can do at the beginning of the year, whenever, way ahead of time. You can set your special hours for your Google My Business account to make sure that it changes the hours on specific dates. So if July 4th you're closed, it's going to automatically show to people that you are closed on that day. That's just something that's really easy to do. As you can see, you can Google it. The instructions are very clear. It's very easy to do this. And while we're talking about planning ahead, we have lots of holidays nowadays. The big three the three big retail holidays for a long time was Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Hanukkah. And now, everybody is celebrating and getting on the bandwagon for Cyber Monday, on the bandwagon for Black Friday, Black Thursday, whatever it is. And now we have July 4th coming up. And it's really important to make sure that you have a plan in place. A lot of people, again, just put up a post and say, Happy July 4th or Happy Independence Day. A lot of times people put up the American flag and they don't necessarily know exactly the most respectful way to post a picture of the flag, making sure that it's not on the ground, making sure that it's set up a specific way. It's one of those things that a lot of people don't think about ahead of time. So with that, it's better to think simple. You don't want to get too complicated, especially if you're a small business. If you're thinking of doing a promotion for July 4th, you might want to think 2 months ahead. Well, I want to be authentic, so I want to emotionally connect with my audience. Not only that, but I want to make sure that they feel that this post or this campaign is authentic and not just that we're trying to make a couple bucks here and there. And as you keep going, it might be just that you're making something more content driven. It's not just a sale on July 4th. Maybe you've created an infographic for pets that are scared of fireworks. That's a huge one every year, pet safety during July 4th. If you don't have a plan like that, it might be something that you're not ready for, that you don't have a post ready for, and you're going to get lost in the shuffle on your newsfeed. There's a million things going through your newsfeed all the time on holidays. So you want to see, what is the best way that I can stand out so that I can connect with my audience in an authentic and real way?
Yeah, and we were talking before this too, speaking of audiences, is knowing your audience. I mean, because we all don't live in the same community times how many of our communities there are in the United States and Canada. We all have our own little brand of it, right? And we also have our own demographic and our own clientele. And we understand as a small business, or we should, though our clientele probably better than anybody, right? But
Yeah.
if you're in a very one type of demographic, then you should be aware of that demographics, holidays, and needs, and what matters to them, right? Like
Mhm.
it's not necessarily always about you unless you're also part of that demographic. And then of course there's even more similarities, right? But it's also just, and I think again, saying in the context of the world, it's always good to know your demographic, but also be extra sensitive about your demographic and respectful about your demographic. And really be, I think we were using the word authentic and transparent too when
Yes.
talking earlier, like
Mhm.
I think people can smell a phony.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to this tweet that SpaghettiOs did. Wait, I don't know how many years it's been, but it's stuck with me. They did a tweet for 9/11,
Okay.
and it was something that you could tell that they just photoshopped a picture of the SpaghettiO mascot holding a flag that said something like "Never forget," and they got immense amounts of backlash for that, and it was kind of well deserved because you could tell that they didn't have a plan. They just wanted to jump on a bandwagon and say, "Here we are. Come, pay attention to us as a brand." It's not necessarily about, you know, the holiday or the day of remembrance. It's more about the brand, and that's not what we want. We want to, if we're doing a post about Independence Day, we want to make sure that people are getting across, we want to celebrate this with you,
Right.
whoever
We're in this
it is.
together.
Yeah, we're in this together. We're in this together as a team, especially for small businesses, because people feel more connected with those small businesses in comparison to Coca-Cola or whatever. People expect Coca-Cola to come out and say something, but what you want to do is make sure that you're really connected. A lot of people expect small businesses to post about things, and a lot of them want small businesses to post about things. So it's just making sure that you're connecting with those audiences authentically. It's not easy, but it comes down to planning, making sure you have a crisis management team or a couple people that are trained in crisis management that can say, this is appropriate, this is not appropriate, this is how you want to connect.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I guess I like how all these thoughts go through my head all at once. So I had to slow my brain down. Besides connecting authentically and transparently and being in with people, not outside judging people, right? Or trying to ride somebody else's shirt tails, as they say, an old saying, is really being part of the community. And that includes, like, Minnesota, every single town has an event, like a day of the year. And then, we get the princesses on the parades. Of course, this year we probably won't have parades, but, we have events and things like that also matter
Yeah.
to the community. So it's not just the big holidays on the calendar, right? It's the local holidays, it's the religious holidays of your demographic. It's really, I don't know, I guess I kind of see it as being old school. You're going back to the old school of being a community where people knew each other, where they talked to each other, where they respected each other, and they leaned into it together, right? Whatever that is, it.
Yeah. Yeah. Philanthropy it's all about philanthropy in a way. You think about it that way, and you start to see, well, maybe I shouldn't necessarily be trying to make money in this. Maybe I should say, this is how we're investing in the community. This is how we're giving back to you guys. We're not wanting anything from this. We're giving back to you guys, either through a charitable cause or something like that. We talked a little bit about some of the more fun things too, like San Diego has Comic-Con. That's a huge event for San Diego. And there's a lot of like really fun things that you can do. You could have a Comic-Con sale, you could make a comic. You could reach out to a comic artist a couple months before and create a comic. We talk a lot about veterinarians here. So you could have a comic about a veterinarian that could be a superhero and, taking care of pets. That's a huge thing that would work really well for San Diego Comic-Con. There's events like that all over the country. I'm thinking of Comic-Cons now, but Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle, I think it is, and then Dragon Con and all these other conventions. There's plenty of events like that where your audience wants to connect with you, and they're going to view it as fun too. And as long as it's authentic, as long as you're coming from a place like, as a small business owner, this is what I'm into, this is what I like, and I want to connect with my audience in the same way.
Well, that's awesome. Well, so to wrap up 4th of July, make sure to change your hours if they're not already. So go in there and check, because people travel. And I know, like I was telling you, one year I was traveling and I had my dog and he started getting an ear infection. Well, I was not where my vet was. I was just trying to look for any vet that was open that day or right around that day to help, right? And Google will show that. They'll show that you're open or when you're closing things. So make sure that's accurate so people can find you when they need you during the holidays, or not come to you if you're not open, because that makes for crabby people.
Yes.
Be respectful of your community. Be respectful of the holiday. Otherwise, we're going to get some backlash. It's just the way. People are a little bit more hair triggered today about making comments. So just be aware of that. I would also say that somebody should be watching your social media, on any holiday. Like, because it may not be you, but maybe somebody else coming and saying something, and it's not totally related to you. They're just having a bad day and using your forum to make a statement. And unfortunately, that does happen.
Even with that too, something to mention is having somebody that is trained in crisis management or has that kind of experience can prepare for even things like, say you do have a sale, you're going to have a massive amount of increased traffic on your website. Is your website going to be able to handle that much traffic? That's happened to brands before and they didn't have a plan, and thousands and thousands of dollars in lost sales there. So it is important to have somebody ready to go.
Yep. All right. Speaking of Comic-Con, on our marketing to self, you're going to have an interesting side passion. Do you want to tell us kind of what you've been doing and kind of a little story around that?
Yeah, so I evolved a little bit. I have my own personal brand called Island Arcade that started out as music, moved to more Comic-Con coverage and video game coverage. It all is kind of based around video games and video game music and video game topics. And most recently, I've been really into the 90s, like big time into the 90s music scene. And the most random song kept popping in my head a couple weeks ago, and it was Donna Lewis's I Love You Always Forever, which is on the soundtrack of so many 90s movies. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to sing it, and I'm going to take a bunch of video game music and sample it and use the instruments and create my own version of the song. So that's what I've been working on outside of work. So I appreciate you guys for allowing me to take so much time to do that. It makes it fun.
It feeds your soul, right? So that, and we got to have some positive, empowering moments to keep feeding our souls during this time. So I'm glad. And then hopefully we get to hear it when it's all done.
Absolutely. I'm sure I'll be recording videos. I have a whole slew of songs ready to roll as soon as quarantine is over.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tyler, and thanks for your tips today.
Of course. Thank you.